Hello, welcome to Lemon Studios, where we talk movies, television, and wrestling. I'm, of course, the Lemon himself, Zeke Lemon, and this is my review for A Night of the Seven Kingdoms Season 1 finale. But before we get into that, let's get the house clean out of the way. Sure, to leave a like, comment below, know your thoughts on A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and of course, hit that subscribe button as it helps me grow into my YouTube career. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, all that out of the way, let's get into it, shall we? So, yeah, the Night of the Seven Kingdoms finale, or should I say A Night of the Nine Kingdoms after that reveal, because at the end of this, which got me wondering, are we going to have a new show title when it kicks off? Like, are they going to change it like A Night of the Nine Kingdoms and then keep season 1 and then move on from season 2? Or are they going to keep A Night of the Seven Kingdoms title? It'll be really interesting to see because, at the end, Dunk and Egg, they're walking away and, Dunk's going, well, I suppose we can go anywhere we want in the Seven Kingdoms. And then he's like, 9. No, there's 7. Everyone knows that there's 7. Well, then everyone's wrong. There's really 9. Here's one of the places that no one really knows about. I actually haven't been there. Well, I guess we'll go there then. It took a little bit for me throughout the whole entire episode because when it became clear that Dunk and Egg this whole show is going to be kind of an anthology, or that's how I'm kind of perceiving it. Because I really wanted to keep hanging out with the Baratheon guy, right? I think he's probably my favorite character out of the whole entire season. I like how free-spirited he was. I was kind of hoping Dunk would go with him. I actually like the Targaryens that we've met. I think they're very interesting characters, especially the King. I really hope he gets a much bigger presence, which I think he will after, they had that last sizzle of where's Aegon when Egg clearly left on his own free will. He didn't want to go with his family, even though his dad said no. And what made the King so interesting to me is because I feel like we know someone or we can relate to his situation, right? He's had, I think it was 3 kids. And the first 2 boys, he messed up, right? He didn't raise them properly. They're pieces of shit in a lot of ways. And it's not until Dunk has that conversation with one of the brothers, the better of the 2 evils, if you will, and he goes, yeah, we'll make a man out of Egg too. And that's when Dunk had that epiphany of like, I do need to take him, but I can't raise him over there. It's all about that nature versus nurture. And also about the environment that you choose to raise in, right? And, if Egg was to keep, living within the King's realm, then, he probably would likely end up like them because, surely enough, you buy into how the world is. The Game of Thrones, you either live or you die. So you learn to get that coldness within you. Well, if he is to take him on the road with him, then he can learn about the appreciation of the small folk and so on and so forth. And when he's having that conversation with the King, and the King's like, no, he's my last one. Like, you could just tell, he's my last opportunity in order to get it right. I cannot give this up because I really want to prove that I can at least do one right. And again, I feel like we know someone who has done that, who means well with their children, but, the first 2, they went on a different path than, what you would like your children to go on. And on that last one, they're just hell-bent on, I need to get this right. And, sometimes it does work out and sometimes it doesn't, which, again, really fascinates me about that character. And, I just really did enjoy that. But yeah, when it became clear that we most likely wouldn't get our Baratheon character anymore because, again, Dunk and Egg are just going to go out a journey on their own. And we weren't going to get our Orchard guy anymore, who really cracked me up when he was like, yeah, I hooked up with a girl and now we're getting married because she says she's pregnant. Now we're going to be happy. And, he did. He did look very happy. I was very happy to see that. But, I like those characters. I got attached to them. And I was like, I'm not really sure if I'm feeling this anthology type where we're going to get a whole new cast of different characters. But when they're having that back and forth, when Dunk goes, he's your horse, he's going to do this, be mindful, say sir, establishing all the rules of being, a good provider, if you will. And then as they're walking, the whole 7 kingdoms, no 9. No, do you want to get smacked in the head? There's actually 7. Everyone knows there's 7. No, there's 9. Here's this one that I don't know about. Okay, then we're going to head there. And then as they're walking, and as his old mentor, Ghost, is following behind him, he goes off on his own direction. And they're walking away. I was like, God damn it, I'm bought in. I completely bought into it. I'm ready for 2027. Bring it on. Bring a whole new cast of characters. All I need is Dunk and Egg bouncing off of each other and seeing that mentorship continue to nourish. And then, of course, the Targaryens and that King threatening, looking for them any way that they can, which again, I think is very interesting because you can really relate to that. I loved this show. I really did like how it showed a different side of Westeros. It showed that there are genuine good people. Yes, there are consequences to those actions. I liked how this episode really battled, survivor's guilt in a lot of way. Dunk going like, why'd the gods choose him and not me? I like the debates around that too, because he was a good guy. And a lot of people are like, if any Targaryen's going to be a good king, it's him. And Dunk, you robbed that of us. And then some people are like, no, he's a Targaryen no matter what. They're all pieces of crap. He didn't really lose much. We put a lot more on the line than he did. He had a home no matter what. If you would have lost, we would have lost everything. Even if he lost with you, if you were to lose that fight, he would have still gone back into the King's Realm and everything would have been fine. We would have lost everything. I loved that debate earlier on. I loved all the conversations that were happening within this show. Now, as for the discourse that was happening, throughout the whole entire thing, are the episodes too short? No, I really don't think they were. I think every episode was the length that it needed to be. I enjoyed every single one if they told the story that they needed to tell. Could this have been a 3-hour epic film? Maybe. But I also think with how the structure was, I just don't know how you stitch this all together and it still flows very well. I think to me, overall, the best direction was to still go with the television show. And I think this finale really amplifies that. Again, I'm really curious to see how people react to this finale, just because it wasn't the big bam pompous circumstance that you want to see when it comes to the finale that we are conditioned to see. Again, it was more of an epilogue. Season 5, episode 5 last week was truly the finale. And I even said that. I was like, I really felt like we wrapped it up. And we did. And now it's all about setting up where our players are going to go next and wrapping up some other side storylines that we weren't able to touch on within the previous week. Yeah, they really knocked it out of the park. Now, is this my favorite season of Game of Thrones ever? I don't think so, but I would also have to rewatch everything again in order to really give you a true answer on that. But right now, no. But I do think of this much more fondly than I did overall of Game of Thrones right now, and also even House of the Dragon to a degree. But it's only one season in, and I said House of the Dragon season 1 was like my favorite Game of Thrones season of all time. Then season 2 came out, which I still enjoyed, but hey, it had its qualms. Now, the honeymoon phase is over. Let's get to work for season 2 and see what we can really do here. But to me, overall, they really smashed it out of the park to me. And it's going to be hard, even for House of the Dragon season 3, to really top this season of television as my favorite television show of 2026 thus far. It's early, but hey, that's how good I found this show. Let me know what your thoughts are on this show, on Knights of the Seven Kingdoms. Comment below and let me know your thoughts. Leave a like if you made this far within a review. I do greatly appreciate it. And hit that subscribe button as it helps me grow into my YouTube career. And don't forget to squeeze the days, guys, because life is too short not to give your all. So squeeze every opportunity that you can. Until next time, I'll see you here at Lemon Studios.